The Big Bang Theory admits it got Penny wrong in season 1, but the sitcom did something just as bad in season 12. When The Big Bang Theory premiered in 2007, it instantly set itself apart from the usual network sitcom lineup. Geek culture was suddenly cool, and audiences fell in love with a group of socially awkward scientists and the beautiful aspiring actress who lived across the hall. But as iconic as Penny Kaylee Cuoco became, the show itself eventually admitted that it didn't get her right in season 1. Unfortunately, by the time The Big Bang Theory wrapped up in season 12, it made another big mistake with Penny, one that arguably undermined years of her character growth and robbed her of the ending she truly deserved. Penny started out as the classic girl next door, meant to balance the nerdy chaos of Leonard, Johnny Galecki, Sheldon, Jim Parsons, and their friends. But she evolved into one of the most grounded and emotionally complex characters in the entire show. Ironically, while the writers realized early on that they had misjudged her and made changes to correct it, they repeated the same kind of creative misstep in the final season. The problem wasn't that Penny didn't evolve, it was that The Big Bang Theory stopped letting her. Penny's season 1 problem, a misunderstood archetype. When audiences first met Penny, she was introduced through Leonard's love-struck eyes, a bubbly, attractive waitress with dreams of becoming an actress. The show's early episodes leaned heavily on stereotypes. The hot girl who is sweet but not particularly smart, contrasted against the genius nerds who lacked social skills. It's easy to forget that in season 1, Penny was often the butt of the joke rather than a fully realized character. She was the outsider who didn't get their science jokes, and her aspirations were treated as naive. While Leonard, Sheldon, and company were celebrated for their intelligence and quirks, Penny's storylines revolved around her dating life, money struggles, and shallow friends. The audience was meant to laugh at her misunderstandings of physics, not empathize with her ambitions. Over time, though, the writers realized this dynamic wasn't sustainable or fair. Kaylee Cuoco herself brought warmth and depth to Penny, and the chemistry between the cast demanded more nuance. Penny wasn't dumb, she was street smart, socially intelligent, and emotionally perceptive in ways her friends weren't. Leonard and Sheldon might have IQs over 170, but Penny understood people better than any of them. In later seasons, the show retroactively admitted that it had misjudged her. Episodes began to highlight Penny's emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and resilience. She became not just Leonard's love interest, but the glue that held the group together. By season 6, she was mentoring Sheldon about relationships, encouraging Leonard's confidence, and finding new directions in her own life. So yes, The Big Bang Theory fixed its season 1 mistake. It gave Penny depth, dignity, and growth. But in season 12, that progress came crashing down. How Penny's final storyline undermined her entire arc. By the time The Big Bang Theory reached its 12th and final season, Penny had gone through an impressive journey. She'd given up on her struggling acting career and found surprising success as a pharmaceutical sales rep. She'd married Leonard, the nerd who'd adored her from the start. Most importantly, she had grown into a confident woman who knew who she was and what she wanted. So when season 12 revealed that Penny didn't want to have children, it was one of the most mature and refreshing developments the show had ever done. Sitcoms rarely allow their female characters to be content without motherhood, especially in long-running shows where happy endings are equated with weddings and babies. Penny's decision felt powerful. She told Leonard she didn't see kids in her future, and while he struggled with it, her stance was portrayed as valid and thoughtful. But then came the finale. In the series' last episode, it was suddenly revealed that Penny was pregnant by accident. Worse, the show played it off as a feel-good twist. No deep conversation, no reflection, no indication that she'd changed her mind for her own reasons. Just a casual announcement that left Leonard thrilled and Penny smiling. For many fans, it was a shock, not because of the pregnancy itself, but because of how unearned it felt. After 12 seasons of growth, the show stripped away her agency in its final moments. Penny's earlier decision not to have children wasn't a temporary quirk. It was a defining moment of self-understanding. To reverse it without explanation made it seem like the writers didn't trust the audience or the character to live happily outside of traditional sitcom norms. In other words, The Big Bang Theory admitted it got Penny wrong in season 1 by oversimplifying her. Then it got her wrong again in season 12 by oversimplifying her all over again. The real issue: the show couldn't let Penny be her own person. What made the pregnancy twist sting wasn't just the contradiction, it was the way it revealed the Big Bang Theory's long-standing habit of defining Penny through other people, especially Leonard. In the early seasons, she was written as the object of Leonard's affection. In the later seasons, she became his wife. And in the finale, she became the mother of his child. But where was her ending? What did Penny want for herself? The show never gave her that space. Even Penny's career success was often downplayed or treated as comedic irony. Her job in pharmaceuticals was lucrative, but it wasn't her passion. Yet the show never let her explore what was no hobby, no new ambition, no creative outlet. It was as if the writers didn't know what to do with her once she outgrew the waitress who loves an astrophysicist mold. Compare this to the evolution of other characters. Sheldon fulfilled his lifelong dream of winning the Nobel Prize. Amy became an acclaimed scientist. Howard became a father while balancing his engineering career. Raj, though single, finally grew emotionally independent. Penny, on the other hand, ended the series right where she began, defined by her relationship to the men around her. This wasn't malicious writing, but it was lazy. The show wanted a tidy ending that fit a traditional sitcom template. The problem? Penny had grown beyond that template. What the show could have done instead: imagine if the final season had handled Penny's arc differently. She could have reaffirmed her choice not to have kids while helping Leonard come to terms with it. The show could have used that tension to highlight their maturity, two people learning that love isn't always about perfect alignment, but respect. It could have been groundbreaking for a mainstream sitcom to end with a couple happily child-free by choice. Or, if the writers did want Penny to become a mother, they could have earned it. A heartfelt conversation, a slow change of perspective, maybe a moment where Penny herself expresses how her feelings evolve. That's all it would have taken. But none of that happened. Instead, it was played for surprise and sentimentality, leaving a hollow note in an otherwise satisfying finale. It's a shame, because The Big Bang Theory was often smarter about character growth than it got credit for. Sheldon's evolution, for example, was carefully crafted over years, culminating in his emotional acceptance of the people who shaped him. Penny deserved the same care. The legacy of Penny's character, and what it says about sitcoms: Penny remains one of television's most beloved sitcom characters. Kaylee Cuoco's performance made her funny, relatable, and fiercely human. She didn't have a PhD or a career in science, but she was the heart of The Big Bang Theory. She connected the audience to the show's intellectual world and helped transform what could have been a one-dimensional nerd comedy into a story about friendship, love, and personal growth. But Penny's ending also highlights a broader problem in sitcom storytelling, especially when it comes to female,